FOXTROT!
What do you want, Isaac?
Your ugly ass got some sort of interdimensional mail. I took the liberty of opening it myself.
Oh, gee, thanks.
It looks like a question. Bye.
Favorite foreigner song? What the hell? Well, there is one that reminds me of D'Andy. I guess I could sing a little. Okay. I would climb any mountain, sail across a stormy sea, if that's what it takes me, baby, to show how much you mean to me. And I guess it's just the woman in you that brings out the man in me. I know I can't help myself. You're all in the world to me. Feels like the first time. Feels like the very first time. Feels like the first...
Hey, Whiskey, what are you doing?
Nothing. Not doing anything.
Kinda sounded like singing.
Get out of here, Mike. Jeez.
Say, that was pretty good, FOXTROT. I broadcast it all over the ship.
Son of a bitch! Stupid interview.
Hey guys, Dave here today with another Solus Spotlight, and today I am here with Jim Foronda, the voice actor for Oscar Mike, Whiskey Foxtrot, Isaac, Menrek, and last but not least, every single person in the Oscar Mike vs. the Battle School story operation, as well as many other tidbits here and there in the Battleborn universe.
Hello!
Hello! Welcome to the show. So, first
Thank you
question
very
on the list is, where are you from?
I was born in Tennessee, and I grew up in Florida, and then now I live in Dallas, Texas.
Awesome. Same community. So, what system do you play Battleborn on? PC, Xbox, PS4?
I play mostly on PS4, almost exclusively on PS4, but sometimes I play on the PC.
It's a little guilty pleasure to play with the quote-unquote better community. Alright. So, how did you find out about Battleborn, and how long have you been playing?
How did I find out about Battleborn? Well, I got an email from my agent that said, top secret audition for a new game from a game company. And I auditioned for Oscar Mike. Before he was even called Oscar Mike, he was called Chuck Abrams. And I didn't know it was going to be called Battleborn because it hadn't been named yet, but that's when I found out about Battleborn. Now, how long I've been playing, the first time I played Battleborn was during the CTT, and I fell in love with it. I was thinking, beforehand, I was thinking, please be good, please be good, please be good, and I fell in love with it. I love it.
Who would you say is your best character in the game, and who is your favorite overall?
I am best with Isaac, and it's not because... The reason why is because when I first started playing the game, I wanted to hear all the work that I had done, because I spent so much time working on it. It was over such a long time. I just wanted to hear how everything turned out. So started out with Oscar Mike, and then Whiskey Foxtrot, and then when I started playing as Isaac, I do really well with him, and he's my favorite to play. When they nerfed Omega Strike, beforehand, what I was doing is that I was basically purposefully pulling back on Omega Strike so I could get used to it, so I could modify my method of play, because he's just fun to play. Now, my favorite who is not me is Orendi. I love Orendi. She's fast, and she just can deal out so much damage. The new thing that they did with her, where you can do a secondary Shadowfire pillar without the delay, was it's just great. Now, I also like Pendles. I die a lot as Pendles because he's so squishy, but there's something fun about being invisible and shard collecting, and he's great.
What would you say you play most of? DPS, tank, or support, and why?
I bounce between classes a lot, but I mostly DPS and tank. Support is fun. I I do okay with Reyna, Alani, and Beatrix. As Beatrix, though, I often hit the wrong people with Patient Zero because I'm not the best at landing my Patient Zero shots.
So what do you consider your playstyle to be in PvP?
I mostly do wave clear, and if playing Isaac and Incursion, what I will do is that I'll try to build up to Omega Strike as quickly as possible doing wave clear, but then when I unlock Omega Strike, I try to flank the sentries when team pushes the lane, and then I'll Omega Strike the crap out of the sentry. Like, I will complete disregard for my own life, essentially. I will basically just keep firing until I'm taken out, and then the team knows I'm going to do that because the people I play with are like, okay, do your thing, and then I just kind of like just go after the sentry with Omega Strike and try to just whittle him down as much as possible. In Meltdown, old Meltdown, what I used to do is run shards, and I had I was really lucky early on in the game. I managed to get different pieces of gear. They all had purchase discounts, so I was buying just tons of stuff. I was running around getting shards and basically building every turret, making giant minions as quickly as possible, simply because I could get them so cheap. So that was my early Meltdown strategy.
So, now for everyone's favorite question, ironically, what is your favorite thing about Battleborn?
Wow, there's so much. Okay, aside from the gameplay, the characters and lore, the story is just... The story goes so deep, and I learned a lot of the story simply from my characters' points of view. I learned about Isaac, and I learned about Oscar Mike and FOXTROT, and even about Minrek and how he started out as a consumer recycling buddy, and it's just, there's so much story to it, and it could just go on forever. I love it. Also the art style, the hand animated explosions and effects, there's something very, I don't know, very cinematic about it. Just the little wisps of energy and stuff, and the fact that there's little secret Easter eggs hidden in all that animation, like there's little monster demon faces in the effects in Orendi's effects. If you freeze them, you'll see there's a little like scary face and some jagged teeth in the clouds. It's such a great game.
So what is your favorite faction and why?
Story-wise, I like the Rogues. They're a family. They're a family of people who they didn't fit anywhere. They were outcasts. They were, the refuse of everything else. And you know what? They came together, and whoever you are welcome here. You are welcome with the Rogues. We're going to make our place here in the Detritus Ring, and we're going to live here and do our thing. Play-wise, also the Rogues because of the sheer variety. You've got Invisible Pendles, you've got FOXTROT, who's your gun guy, and you've got Reyna, who shields everybody, and basically, there's so much you can do in that team. You've got your melee, you've got your shooting, you've got your support, you've got your invisible guy. The Rogues are cool. Art-wise, the LLC, because I like robots, and I love all the electrified animations and stuff, and the color scheme, that white and gold and teal is just, they're cool.
Do you prefer PvP or PvE with the campaign and operations?
I play PvE more. I like good co-op, and I love the story, as I said before. Even though I've heard it like 11 billion times, I still chuckle. It's great. I like PvE because the story is, again, I was just raving about the story before. It's still fun, and co-op is fun because it's like teaming up to do stuff in the Sentinel. Let's stay up here on the ledge and we clear out everything down below. Okay, you melee people, you drop down, we'll cover you. PvP is fun. I'm just not the best at it. Maybe average, if I'm being generous. I didn't complete everybody's PvP lore and platinum the game before Bots Battle came out, so I guess that counts for something. But Bots Battle is probably the best I ever get it at PvP in quotes, but the last time I played PvP, I actually was in Supercharge, and Lost Heroes actually ended up being randomly put up against us, and it was a horrible stomping by like the pro team, you know what I mean? But it was cool watching them play, because I'm thinking, I didn't even know you could do that. It was educational to be completely murdered by them.
This sounds like an Isaac line, or at the very least it should be. So, what is your favorite boss fight and or mission / operation, and why?
My favorite mission is the Sentinel. It was one of those ones that I had no idea what it was going to be, because the only stuff that I had kind of sneak previews for in the game were for my own characters. So the Sentinel was brand new to me, and the first time walking into it, and when I found out how to get behind like the shards, the ones that are behind the shields, I felt like I discovered something. It had a very classic Nintendo, you found a secret feel to it, and like a real kind of Indiana Jones exploration, discovering things type feeling. And boss fight, I'm gonna toot my own horn. I love the Isaac boss fight because it's fun. I had a lot of fun recording those, and yeah, I like the Isaac boss fight. Favorite op though is Battle School, and again for the story. For the story specifically because I just had so much fun working on that. Gameplay-wise though, my favorite op gameplay-wise is Heart of Echo.
Do you watch any Battleborn creators or live streamers?
To tell the truth, I don't watch gameplay streams that often, for any game really, because when I watch a game stream, I always actually I end up wanting to turn it off because I want to play the game myself. Creators, I do watch Mentalmars and Solar Scientist for gameplay tips and stuff. Actually, I play with Solar Scientist a lot, so I've actually assisted him with some research. When Ernest came out, our whole play group, we were helping him test whether or not multiple grenades, like, you know, Ernest can kind of rocket jump over a grenade because he's impervious to his own grenades. They just help propel him higher. So we were trying to figure out, with multiple Ernests, with multiple grenades, could he jump actually higher? So we spent actually a whole mission doing that, just testing Ernest's like limits and what he could do. And I don't know, it's fun doing that stuff because he really analyzes the heck out of stuff. So yeah. Now, if you want to count fan artists with creators, I keep up with the fan artists a lot on Twitter because everybody's just like so good. Everybody has like a different art style, and okay, I'm gonna try to shout out some people. Okay, so there's Bea, who super Isaac fan. She is the only meatbag Isaac would not want to kill. And then there's Mayzilla and Tesh or Tender Prince, and Left Circle, Cat Clan, killed the kid. Cat Cornet, who does music, and oh gosh, there's a Korean artist named Endless, and there's a Japanese artist named Suna. They all post on Twitter, and they're great. If there's somebody out there, I follow so many of you. If I missed your name, I'm sorry. I really am.
Alright, so links to all of those creators, hopefully, if I can find their Twitter handles, hopefully we'll be able to get that settled afterwards, should be in the description below. Those are definitely a lot of really cool artists that you should follow. I specifically follow Bea myself. I did not know about the other two, so I'll definitely be checking those out. So, now we are moving on to your job. So the voice actor specific questions, and after this we're moving to questions from the community, and then some requests that everyone had. So the first question on the list: how long have you been doing voice acting, and how did you get started?
Okay, I will try to keep the story as short as possible. So, I have been voice acting since 2001. I used to work in advertising, which is where I got started. I wrote commercials for Hasbro toys literally from 2001 to 2013. Like, I wrote every Transformers TV commercial from 2001 to 2012. So, way back, 2001, we were doing a G.I. Joe 3 3/4 inch action figures, the small ones, and it was like this big CG spot. And originally, there was union talent in there. Now, the producer at the time, there was a clerical error, and it turned out that having the union talent in there was going to basically blow out the budget. So, there was this emergency recasting of everybody in the agency, just blind. It was like, come in here, read for every part, and then they'll cast whoever they want. So then Hasbro ended up casting me as 5 different roles in the entire campaign. I was Cobra Commander, Duke Heavy Duty, a British reporter, and Destro. And when they found out that it was all me, when they later on they were like, be Optimus Prime for us, be Megatron, do this voice. So I ended up doing a lot of voice work for Hasbro, and it was part of my day job. So, you know, the new producer we had said, you know, you could do this for real and get paid for it. And so with some advice from him, I put a reel together of all the Hasbro stuff that I'd done, and I went and got an agent. And the first proper voice work I ever did was a local soda ad for a sports broadcast, and that was in 2001.
Awesome. So, how long have you been working on Battleborn?
Okay, I first auditioned for Battleborn. It was January 16th, 2014. That is a date that I remember because it was a big deal. It was the biggest thing I had ever done, voice acting wise. And 9 days later, I was cast as Oscar Mike before he was even called Oscar Mike. So that was a long time, and I enjoyed every second of it.
So, what was it like working with Gearbox?
Working with Gearbox is great. I mean, everybody there's just really cool. I've actually worked with Gearbox all the way back to Brothers in Arms Earned in Blood. It was Earned in Blood. As multiplayer character A. So I voiced a whole bunch of bit parts for the Borderlands series. I am just kind of scattered all across the Borderlands games as just little bit parts, and like the voice of the Doll Corporation and a whole bunch of stuff. The Battleborn, it was the first really big thing I'd ever done and done with them, and they were just amazing to work with. So for the main game, I worked mostly with Aaron Lindy, the writer, and he really lets the actors explore the characters. I mean, he was writing constantly because there's so much to the game, and it was him, and Randy was helping, but anyway, he was just writing constantly. And while recording scripted lines, we throw out improvised stuff, like the stuff that Minrek yells things are going to be reborn as. We spent a good half an hour just coming up with metal things that Minrek can recycle things into. Oh, and one of my favorite Isaac lines, when he says, "I am so angry I could punch a kitten." And it sounds terrible, but Aaron let me ad-lib that, because at the time I was recording Isaac, my wife and I, we had just adopted a kitten, and kittens are naughty. They hop everywhere they're not supposed to be. And so at home, I would kind of tongue-in-cheek, I'd be like, get off the mantle. I will punch a kitten. I will punch a kitten if you don't get off the mantle. There you go. And, I would never punch a kitten. But the idea of punching a kitten is so awful that that's exactly what Isaac would do. So I said, "Hey, Aaron, I got one." He goes, "Go ahead." And I recorded it, and he pauses for a second. He goes, "I'll allow that." And it went into the game. Oh, okay, so I should continue, because other people need credit too, because just Gearbox is so freaking awesome. So over the ops, I worked with Sam Winkler, and he was like the writer on that for the ops and stuff. And so if you saw the Battle School stream from way back, we talked back and forth about FOXTROT, because FOXTROT was probably the least fleshed out of the main characters. And so he let me indulge myself. He let me kind of suggest a headcanon of FOXTROT being the Battleborn chef. And he let me write a few short bits, like just scenes that I thought of. And he was like, "Oh my gosh, this is great. I'm going to modify these a little bit so they flow into the story." And that's how we ended up with Baker Mike with his goofy accent. And my favorite thing, the whole sex ed talk with the clones, because clones have no idea how babies are made. They think they're like made in a vat. They're clueless. And so yeah, he took those and he worked them into the final script, which I felt it was so fun to like basically kind of contribute to it, besides just my voice. And working with Gearbox is great. I would love to work with them like forever. They're cool.
Well, that sounds like an amazing experience. Good thing I applied. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Gearbox, if you're listening, accept my application, please. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So, what other places do you currently offer voice acting at?
I'm starting to do more work at Funimation. I did work at Funimation in the past, but then when my day job got like just started swamping me, I kind of had to drop out of that. But now that I am doing voice acting full time, currently you can hear me in the show Sakura Quest. I play a wood craftsman in the small Japanese town. It takes place during the modern day. It's directed by Caitlin Glass, who's the voice of Thorn, and she's a super director. She's awesome. And I'm also in the One Piece Fishman Island story arc. I'm playing Vanderdecken the Ninth, who is the shark fishman captain. Who he's kind of nuts. He screams a lot. Video game wise, I voice a bunch of skins in Smite. Most recently, they introduced Barely Buzzed Bacchus, and he's a big goofy cartoon bear. And I still do commercial VO as well. There's like a Lay's potato chip ad right now telling people to vote for their favorite flavor when they do like the funky flavors and stuff. So yeah, you'll hear, oh, vote online for your favorite chip, that type of thing. So yeah, I whatever voice work I can get, I will do it.
Well, I'll make sure to vote for my favorite chip when I'm saving the last star, listening to your voice both times. So, what work are you most proud of over the course of your voice acting career?
Battleborn by far. It again, it was the biggest thing I've ever done. I worked on it for like 2.5 years, and there's this. This is gonna sound goofy, but it's 100% true. The first time I went to Gearbox, and I'd never been actually in the building before, and Aaron took me on a tour through the building, and I got to go to the animation department and the sound department, and there's concept art all over the place. There were people working on just different animations of stuff. I saw some of the effects animations being painted. I saw textures being painted on levels. I saw levels being built. I saw sounds being made, and there's so many people in that building, and everybody is just pushing. They're at the pinnacle of their realm of expertise. You know, the artists and the sound people, and the animators and the designers, they're all doing everything they can to make this game what it is, and to be a part of that, it's kind of like it's like being part of Starfleet. You know what I mean? It's like we're all working together for this one grand idea, and we're just doing the best that we can to make it as good as it can be. And to be part of something, to be part of a creative endeavor that big, was really humbling, because I'd never been part of anything like that before, and it was really something. And yeah, and I'm glad they let me be a part of it, and it's yeah, okay, yeah, I sound silly now, but yeah, I'm really proud of that. I don't care what anybody says. It's a marvelous piece of work.
It's alright if I shed a manly tear for that, right? Just one?
Manly tears have been shed on my own side.
Asking for a friend. Alright, so now that manly tear has been shed with the awe-inspiring story of the amazing creation of Battleborn, we're on to the other aspect of Battleborn, the community. So unlike every other solo spotlight, I have gone to you guys and asked you guys what questions you would have for Mr. Jim. And here's what you had. So, first question being from Destronoma, the only person to respond on Discord because he refused to go to the Reddit or to the Gearbox forums. He wanted to know who would win in a fight, Oscar Mike or Whiskey Foxtrot.
Okay, so that would definitely be Whiskey Foxtrot. The reason why is because Oscar was really only made to fight bad dudes, and to Oscar, Whiskey is not a bad dude. So, he idolizes Foxtrot. I mean, he's like the cool guy. He is the cool clone, you know. So this question. So I imagine the scene on board the Nova, and Oscar, he's like wanting to spar with Foxtrot in the gym because Whiskey's his idol, and so. Acting as Whiskey from his lore, and I really wanted to communicate it in the op. I think Whiskey, he's kind of grown to think of Oscar as like a little brother. He kind of looks after him, a younger brother. He's an annoying younger brother, but you know what? He kind of feels for the guy, right? So here's in the gym, and Oscar's bobbing back and forth, and he's like, "Hey, come on, let's come on, spar with me. It'll be cool. It'll be awesome." And he's talking about how cool it's gonna be, bros fighting and stuff like that. So then, Foxtrot's like, "Oh, well, okay." And he punches Oscar, like, and he just knocks him flat with one punch because he's got the age, the expertise, and he just knocks him on the ground. And he's kind of pausing. He's like, "Geez, kid, you all right?" And then Oscar gets up. "Holy crap, that was awesome!" You know, and Oscar's just thrilled because he just got like knocked out by FOXTROT, his idol. So yeah, that's how I see that happening.
I could picture that. I had that whole scene like playing in my head there. This sounds something that would be feasible, especially since Whiskey Foxtrot is my favorite character, and I idolize him probably just as much as Oscar Mike. So, PMME Unwanted Gift Card asks, did you enjoy voicing literally everyone in Oscar Mike versus the Battle School?
I love that. It was the most challenging thing I have ever done professionally, period. But I loved it. Before recording, I spent a few hours at Gearbox with Randy Varnell, Sam Winkler, and Dante Silva, and we were all figuring out how they should all sound, because they had to have the same bass mic voice because they were all clones, but they all had to have a different delivery. For General Mike, for example, Randy Varnell, in his mind, he was thinking of Bill Paxton, the sergeant in Edge of Tomorrow. You know, he was like, "You have something." He's like, he had that kind of that stereotypical movie general sound. And so, and when he referenced Paxton, I knew exactly how General Mike was supposed to sound. For Queen Mike, for example, we were trying to figure out how would Queen Mike sound, the ruler of all the mics. And so we were trying to figure that out, and I thought, political campaign speeches. And so we were typing in into Google, like, to hear like some campaign speeches, and that's how Queen Mike became who she was. That whole kind of pausing and saying a thing, the way, you know, political speeches go. And so for Fat Mike, in the Gearbox kitchen area, they have like, it's the coolest office kitchen ever. They've got like fruit and vegetables, and they have little snack things. They had these individually wrapped brownies. And so I got a couple of those, and every time I had a Fat Mike line, I would just shove one of those in my mouth and speak through the brownie. So it was the Oscar Mike voice with the brownie shoved in his face. And finally, and there's one joke that did not make it, and I'll explain why, but it's my favorite joke in the entire series that isn't actually in the series. There's a scene where they're talking about the audiobook of the Clonstitution. And so Sam writes this gag in there where there's a thing about low budget audiobooks where they can only afford to hire one voice actor. And then so all the different clones are like, yeah, right? And then all of a sudden, Isaac was going to come in and go, yeah! And then there's going to be like a little silence, and then, you know, what are you doing here? Oh, no reason. And then that was all you were going to hear of him. And he was going to just like, there was that little gag about everybody being me. However, the reason why they had to take it out is because overseas, in other languages, Isaac, it's not the same voice actor for the clones and for Isaac. So if they had done that overseas, it would have been a completely different voice actor, and the joke would have been completely lost in other languages. So they ended up, the localization team, where they have to translate everything and stuff, they thought, yeah, that's just not gonna work. So we had to take that joke out, but I wanted you guys to hear it because when I read it, I just could not stop laughing for a good minute or two.
Yeah, thank God I mute my mic when you guys talk, otherwise I would have just been laughing my ass off, because that deserves to be in the game. Like, just cut it out when you translate it. I mean, oh my God, that is hilarious. Alright, so moving on here to Riddle, spelled with a W-R. Did you ever switch language in a game to hear the original voice acting?
Like hear a game in a different language, like to hear it in English and then hear it in a different language, like
I guess like hearing it, like looking up the original language and then just translating it from your language to that, just switching the language just to hear the original voice actors.
Oh, so like if if our work is translated into another language. Okay, so the only time I've ever heard that, I've never really done that before, but I did hear my sister, she was trying to she was trying to show a friend of hers who played games as to who I played in Borderlands, like way back. And so she was trying to find the Ice Cream Day soldier, the one that sings about Ice Cream Day. So on YouTube, she found the Ice Cream Day, but it was the German version of Ice Cream Day. And I had never heard that before. And she's like, wow, it sounds like the original one. So, and literally, it's the guy singing about ice cream tag, and it was so cool because, you know, completely different language, but you could tell it wasn't the exact melody that I had done, but they just went with it, and it was Ice Cream Day Soldier in German. So it was that was pretty cool.
Well, ice cream is kind of cool, don't you think? I'm sorry.
That's a rocky road you're traveling down there, man.
You're worse than me.
You know. Okay, so Jithri, Randy Varnell, he is the pun king. He is the pun king, and that's all I'm gonna say. Working with him over so many years on this game, yeah, man, he throws out puns like lightning.
All right. So on that note of family friendliness here, Kate Bundy asks, which Mike clone is your favorite from Oscar Mike versus the Battle School?
Favorite clone? This is a hard question. I would say Baker Mike. I love Baker Mike. I imagine him learning how to cook by watching the LLC's Food and Cooking Hollow channels. And of course, all the great LLC chefs, they have French accents. Even though there's no France in Battleborn, but they all have accents like this anyway, so he does his best to talk like them, and he's not very good at doing the accent, so it's very exaggerated. He was just fun. If I had to choose between the original clones, that would be too hard, but out of the new clones for Battle School, I'd say Baker Mike.
Alright, so XX Death Knight 72XX asks, when age-wise did you realize being a VO was a viable career for you?
Well, you heard how I got started earlier. I kind of had to make a viable career choice out of VO because I was laid off from my ad agency team. And so I was freelancing ad work, but I thought, you know what? While I'm freelancing, I should try to make a go for full-time voice acting. If I don't do it now, I'm never going to get around. And so I did. And so while kind of, you know, pushing along, doing the freelance, you know, ad writing, I started getting more voice work and a little bit more voice work. And then it just started to get to the point where the voice work was just, I was getting more voice work than I was doing freelance ad work. So that's how it happened. I've been doing it so long as a side gig when I was working in advertising that it just kind of flip-flopped. So now I'm a full-time voice actor, and then I still freelance ad work sometimes.
Well, that is awesome. So he also asked, he has two questions here. You touched on this a little bit earlier, but I guess you could just give a little more specific information. How did you get your start in voice acting in terms of preparation? Do you have a degree or any specific training, or did you just jump right in and apply for everything you could?
Well, as for training, when I was in high school, I did drama and TV production in high school. So, you know, the school plays, and then we had a school TV show that we did like for morning announcements and stuff like that. We would do skits and stuff. Working in advertising, I did presentations in front of people all the time, and you would have to kind of act out your scripts when you're presenting them and stuff. So that was kind of preparation. I've always enjoyed just acting or doing voices and stuff like that, and not just imitating voices, but because you start out, and when you're a little kid, you need to do impressions of your favorite cartoon characters, but then you just start coming up with funny voices of your own. I realized that I could do more than just irritate my wife with them, and she's very tolerant. I do a lot of practicing around her. Anyway, yeah, I guess you could say I just jumped right in. When I put my reel together and I got my agent, and I remember the first time I was cast in anything at Funimation, it was an episode of Case Closed, and it was all new to me, but I was so excited to do it. And here's the thing about voice acting. If you want to be a voice actor, when you're starting out and even currently going, you have to be ready for a lot of failure. Failure meaning that auditions that you do not get, because you audition for a ton of stuff, but you will not get everything. And it's like, and the first time you start doing that, you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm terrible. Nobody likes me. But that's not the case. It's just there happens to be somebody that's better for that role than you are at that time. So you keep at it and you keep at it, and then you land something. You land one thing. It's a Coca-Cola commercial for, the local sports channel, right? And you're like, yes, I did it. And then you feel better going to the next audition. You might not get that one. You might not get the one after that. Then you land another thing. And then here's how it works. I say that voice acting is a string of failures with the occasional awesome success. And those awesome successes basically connect, and then you don't really worry about the failures anymore. And there you go. My voice acting advice, if that helps.
I'd say that's a pretty good guide to life, too. Life advice with Jim. So, Throw Away asked a question that you kind of touched on earlier with your amazing story about how Gearbox functions. But I guess this is your chance to go into a little more detail about how the process works. So, how much input do you have on characters' voice lines? Are they written out ahead of time, or do you have some liberty?
Gearbox was really flexible. Like I said before, boy, they're just great to work with. Everything was, of course, written out. Sometimes because Aaron was writing so much, while we were recording other things in breaks, he would be writing lines for another character because he just wrote so many things. Okay, real quick, as a side note, I was going through the PC files to get the audio files to put on my reel. There's over 15,000 lines of dialogue in that game. Just from grunts and jumps, and there's so much stuff that was written. But anyway, I digress. So sometimes we record the stuff that was written out, and then you really got into these characters because you lived with them for so long, and sometimes you'd be like, oh hey, I got an idea, let me do another one, and they'd be like, sure. And you would just go on a roll and say a new line, and sometimes they would just laugh and go, you know what, let's put that in there. And a lot of the stuff that we would ad-lib on were the Minrec stuff, where the Be Reborn as a metal thing. But say Isaac's long tirade of swears. So in the script, it said in parentheses, long tirade of bleeped out swears. And so Aaron just said, just cuss up a storm. Just do whatever you want and just go with it. So I did several different takes, but they ended up going with the first one, and I was just pulling every swear word, offensive, every offensive word you're not allowed to say, like on TV, like every naughty word, every part of the body word, and just belted them out, and they were all bleep 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 bleep. And it's funny, some very industrious fans, they figured out exactly what I am saying in that line. But they were so cool to work with. I loved working with them. I cannot stress that enough, how much fun Gearbox is to work with.
Well, that sounds like a hell of a fun way to start your day. So, Hopperbutt wants to... I can't say that name without laughing.
The best name ever.
I don't know whether to cut this part out or not. Hoverbutt, your name is amazing.
That literally sounds like a special move in a game. Press A to Hoverbutt. That is awesome.
Alright, so the god Hoverbutt wants to know, what future projects are you going to be working on?
Okay. I have a thing coming up that I am very excited about. And that's all I can say. Sorry.
Wah, wah. Although, that is something to hype up, I guess.
Thing! It's gonna be awesome!
It's gonna be a thing! Yes, a thing! At least we know.
A thing that has an ironclad non-disclosure agreement. And so that's all I can say.
So, Melted Cow asks, what is your favorite Foxtrot line?
I've got a few. I'm doing them live.
Come on, let's wrap this up. I got piano list. Shut up! I value personal enrichment.
And
Is that my blood? That's new.
and my favorite.
Never thought I'd be having this talk.
Alright, so Zadymech, in the spirit of favorites, asks, what is your favorite lines from Oscar Mike?
Here we go.
Today's weather is cloudy with a chance of sick-ass space lasers! Hi, Nova! I was dead! It was pretty cool!
And my very favorite.
Fury Potato!
Fury Potato! Oh my god, that is an amazing line! I can
Actually,
see
you know,
why you
there's-
use it all over the place.
There's a really cool restaurant in the same building as Gearbox, Nerdvana Cafe. It's like this really like fancy pants restaurant. It's all game themed. I would love it if they put like a really spicy baked potato, like the habanero super ghost pepper baked potato on there, and just call it the Fury Potato.
I would go over there and buy that just for the meme's sake.
I'm gonna suggest that. I'm gonna suggest that maybe on Twitter. I don't know.
If it works, I'm gonna go over there. So, Handsome Cam, totally not Toby, asks, what is your favorite thing about Toby?
You know what my favorite thing about Billy is? He's perfect for Medbay. Perfect for Medbay. He'd be so good at cheering everybody up. That's a cute little fellow, Billy. Yeah, in case anybody didn't know, I also voiced the UPR recruiter that totally gets Toby's name wrong in his lore. I'm also the guy that interviews Isaac, the radio guy. So yeah, those are two of the bit parts I did. But yeah, no, Toby's great. I like Toby. He's adorable, but don't say it to his face.
I honestly did not expect you to say that. Oh my god, that is amazing. Alright, so Raid Explosion asks, if you could only voice one of the characters that you voiced in Battleborn, which one would you have chosen?
This is a question I get a lot, and I can't answer that. It's just I'll think, oh well, I really love Isaac because and then I'll be like, oh no wait, but Oscar Mike, and then FOXTROT. I can't, as a preference, I can't choose an individual character because I love them all. It sounds goofy, but I love them all equally. But I can't not answer it. So I'm going to speak purely for logic and employment purposes. I would say if I only had to voice one, for employment purposes, I would say Oscar Mike, because that means you have to voice Whiskey Foxtrot. You have to voice Whiskey Foxtrot and all the other clones because Oscar Mike. So, logically, I would say Oscar Mike. And a little bit of trivia where that slip came from. You know how when you're playing Bots Battle and the Whiskey Foxtrot has like the perfect aim, and when he does his ult and he just basically just drills you to death because of his perfect aim? In my play group, we refer to the Bots Battle Foxtrot as Whiskey Foxbot.
The more you know. So, sorry if I get your name wrong. It's the internet. I'm gonna mess up names. Especially since you type them out on, like, Reddit and the Gearbox forums, and they're nothing like real words. Beelzy Booby? B-E-E-L-Z... Okay, B-E-E-L-Z-E-B-U-B-Y.
I'm gonna say Beelzebubby. Like
Beelzebub. Beelzebubby.
Yeah.
Hello, my baby.
Yeah,
Hello, my honey. So, he/she asks, what other character or characters would you have liked to voice in Battleborn?
So I auditioned for Rendane with a voice that I really liked doing. Both of my mom's parents were German, so I had a living German grandmother kid, and I did like a German voice for my Rendane audition, and I thought it was pretty good. But I didn't know that Marquis was German at the time. Marquis was already cast. So, however, the thing is that Chris Rager, he is Rendane. I mean, he nailed it. He made that character. I mean, I can't. Here's the thing. The voices that I auditioned for other characters for, because I auditioned for pretty much almost every male character, because you do that when you're a voice actor, you hope to get more work. But the thing is that I've been playing the game for so long, my voices that I came up with them, I just think of them as wrong, because they just, the characters that you hear, that's who they are. I mean, the stuff that I came up with, they're just wrong for them now, because they're in my head. The people who played them, that's who they are. That's who they are. But I'm going to save that. I'm going to save that sort of elegant, sinister German voice for something else at some point in time.
Maybe when Count Dracula becomes an anime. So
I'm sure there's plenty of vampire anime out there. Maybe someday.
Maybe someday. So Natsume Ryu asked the last community question: what is Oscar Mike's favorite color?
Oh, that's easy. It's blue like me. I mean green. I'm green. I'm green. I'm not a clone.
Well, you heard it straight from Oscar Mike. His favorite color is blue, no wait, green.
That's actually temporarily. That's early Oscar Mike, before everybody knew he was a clone, even though they already knew he was a clone.
Alright, and now that we're at the end of the episode, those of you who stuck it to the end, went through the horrors of our conversation, listened to all the amazing stuff that Jim has had to say so far, you get to listen to some requests. Although I only have 4 of them. So the first one goes to Dwarfius, who asks you to do a Boulder impression. I'm assuming that's in the original voice of Boulder.
Okay, so original voice. Okay, favorite Boulder line.
You look terrific. So pretty, little Melka. So pretty.
That whole hair bit gets me every time.
Yeah, so as to not piss her off even more. He's like the first guy to get out of that zone, by the way. So, Nihilist bot, with a bunch of 1s and 0s in the style of the Battleborn, I think it was the the HoloNet forums, where I think it was Isaac's account, I believe this is a reference to.
Ah.
I think it's a reference. It might not be. So, what is the meaning of life? As answered, hopefully, by Isaac.
The meaning of life is that you must find your own meaning in life. Whether it's to create a life full of art, or to become a veterinarian because you love puppies. For example, my purpose is to destroy this empty, purposeless universe that we all experience.
Perfect psychology lesson from Isaac there. So, _27 asks, can you say Riperoni as Foxtrot? Now, funny thing about this one, I got it twice. The same request, different people. Same thing. Once on the Reddit forum, and once on the Reddit. So 2 people asked this question, and I forgot who the second person was, but they'll be on screen.
All right, here we go. Riperoni.
Okay, I can see why they would want to hear that from Whiskey Foxtrot. That was actually very funny. So, the last request comes from Bain Brasi. Bain Brasi. I'm not fluent in anything that isn't English. I want to know what love is, sung by Whiskey Fox.
Okay, so it turns out we got 2 song requests for Whiskey Foxtrot. We got one for his favorite Foreigner song, and the other one is I Want to Know What Love Is from... what was the name again? It was Bain Brasi. Anyway, to make a long story short, I'm sorry. I sang the first song. I sang, as you heard in the beginning, I sang the first Foxtrot song, and that's when I learned just how hard it is to sing as Whiskey Foxtrot. I'm actually, I don't know if you could tell, I'm actually a little hoarse from doing it earlier. So as much as I would love to sing "I Want to Know What Love Is" by Whiskey Foxtrot. I don't think I could do it because I wouldn't be able to talk for like a week. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I just can't. Okay, tell you what. Here we go. Low, low, low octave, but I can only do one line.
I wanna know what love is.
Okay, that's it. I can't do it anymore.
Well, I'm pretty sure the people at home will appreciate that you at least tried. And we do have that amazing bit in the very beginning to admire to and listen to over and over and over and over again. Or is that just me because you gave me the file and that's what I've been doing for the past like 3 hours?
Oh gosh, oh my gosh. You're gonna bust your speakers, man. Come on.
Well, it's not that loud. I just lowered the volume.
Foxtrot gets loud.
Foxtrot does get very loud, and that's part of the reason why I love him and why I love your talent, dude. Alright, so we are out of questions, out of requests, out of community torture, and community enlightenment. So is there anything that you'd like to say? Any shoutouts to anyone or to yourself? Anything business-wise that you want to say? Like you can contact me here or there or way off over there in that corner somewhere.
Okay, well first, let's do this. If anybody wants to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me at jimforonda.com. That's Jim, that's the easy part. Foronda. You know what? I'm sure Dave, you can put that up on screen, and that way I don't have to spell it out like all silly like. Anyway, okay, so here's the other thing. Battleborn it's very special to me. You know, it's the first time I've ever done anything this big, and the game is so good, and the people that I've met along the way are so awesome. I've made friends through this game and stuff, and yeah, it's just, everybody who's listening, thank you for playing. You know, it's just, I'm glad everybody's here, you know, everybody's here, and people play the game, and just, you're all very cool. Yeah. That sounds, boy, I'm just rambling on all dumb like. Anyway, but thank you for playing. Yeah.
Well, you put your heart and soul into something that a lot of people have put a lot of hours into. So it's a very special game. I'm sure the people that play it to this day can agree to that testimony. It is very special. Alright, well, you heard the guy. If you want to contact him, I'll have something in the description below. You can always contact him on Twitter. And, yeah, I guess that's all the time we have. So, thank you very much for being here. Your time is very important. It took a lot of effort to get this all set up. So I just want to give a personal round of applause to this man, Jim, right here.
Oh, gosh. Thank you, Dave. This has been a lot of fun. I like doing stuff like this. It's just cool, just meeting people that, you know, are as into the game as I am, so.
So, bye!
Bye, everybody!
Bye!
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 Yeah! Now who's that riding in? Is that his gun popping in the wind? Throw your hats into the air, it's Montana! 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 Atop his tiny legs he comes, bringing ass whoopings for all his enemies' bums. Giant gun, smallish head, cheerful as he feels back is full of lead. Montana!